What's going on, King of Kings family? Pastor Eric here, and welcome to day 2 of the Acts campaign that we are doing through the month of January as we read through the book of Acts, one chapter a day, 6 days a week, taking Sundays off. And so this is Acts chapter 2, and what I wanted to focus in on was in verses 42 through 47, which are you see the birth of the early church and what the early church really looked like. How did they live together? And we read this passage and it seems sort of unattainable. If this is what church is supposed to look like, we see this and we really have a hard time imagining what that might look like. We focus on what we read the early church did, how they sold their property and they held everything that they had in common. They met daily in the temple courts. They praised God, demonstrated God's goodness. And we look at our own lives and we think, man, that is really hard to do. Like, I can't imagine coming to church every day. I mean, I come to church every day because I work here. But for most people that just doesn't seem attainable. And then the holding everything in common and selling the stuff that we have for the benefit of the church. I know there are some of you who do that, and that's amazing. But it just seems a little unrealistic and unattainable. And what occurred to me, though, is that these are the lagging indicators of what was going on in the church. So if you know the difference between leading and lagging indicators, a lagging indicator is the result of a specific behavior. A leading indicator is the behavior that leads to that result. So a leading indicator might be the number of days I go to the gym in the course of a week, and the lagging indicator would be what the scale says at the end of the week. So the sharing things in common, the meeting in the temple courts daily for worship, these were lagging indicators. And if you read the text, the leading indicators were their devotion to the teaching. They showed up daily because they wanted to be there. They were devoted to it. Another leading indicator was that they were devoted to one another. They wanted to be together. They shared meals together. They prayed for one another and for the mission of God. Those were the leading indicators that then led to the sharing things in common and meeting in the temple courts daily and all the things that it says. And so, my thinking is that we focus on, in our own spiritual journey, in our own discipleship, and in our own engagement with our family of faith, that we engage with, that we participate in the leading indicators, and we worry about the leading indicators of that. So how often are we connecting in Scripture? How often are we engaging with one another around meals or connecting with one another outside of Sunday morning? How often are we praying for one another and for the mission that God has given us? These are the things that will lead to whatever life together looks like for us. I think there was contextual things going on in the early church that led to them being able to be in the temple courts. I mean, they all lived within a very close proximity, and they were there were other factors that led to that wouldn't necessarily be duplicatable today. But what does this kind of church that comes out of devotion to teaching, to one another, to being in relationship with one another, to praying for one another, what does that church look like? That's what I'm fascinated about. I don't think we'll ever get back to exactly what the Acts 2 church looks like, and I don't know that we need to. But my prayer, and I hope that your prayer today, is that each of us, including myself, would grow in our devotion to having a deeper understanding of faith in Jesus, deeper connection to one another, that we'd seek out opportunities to be together, particularly over meals, and that prayer would be the defining aspect of our life. And I think if we focus on those leading indicators, then the lagging indicators will take care of themselves. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the Acts 2 reading. If you got any thoughts, drop them in the comments. And would love to engage with what you're thinking around this. God bless, and we will see you tomorrow.